Okay, got that, and good morning everybody that has joined us. This is Gulf Harbour Radio, ZMH286, from a day that is nowhere near as nice as it is in Fulanga. They have got north 4 to 5 knots, 1010. Well, I'll tell you what we've got, Patricia and David here. It's been a very stormy night with some pretty decent winds. We currently don't have much wind, 2 knots from the northwest. Nina 7.1 and dropping. 14 degrees though, so it could be worse, but yes, not very pleasant conditions here at Gulf Harbour Radio, so it will be nice to read out some of the conditions that you've got. Very peaceful and beautiful in Luganville. Anisha, not so great though. Kuhala are reporting 23 knots from the southwest, which makes that a rather sporty, swelly anchorage there. But it will be turning to the south soon, so that will make life a bit better. 100% cloud cover there. And you've just heard, Mezzaluna is on its way, I think also with another boat, La Elinor. They're going from Fulanga to Suva and have currently northwest, very light, 8. Clear skies, beautiful conditions really, 1011.
Tomorrow's the day to do that, not today.
Yeah, should have left tomorrow, says David, but anyway, they're on their way, 25 degrees, so very pleasant, except for the fact that they haven't caught a fish yet. So that sounds as if everyone's quite happy up there around the area. And I wonder, we've got, well, it's probably a bit early, we've got Tuaki's going to be leaving Queensland, but we won't worry about him today. Not sure what's happening to the couple of boats. Haven't heard back from Silhouette or Erie 2. They're heading from Queensland up to New Caledonia. But I'm sure they'll let us know when they have departed, or when are they going to depart. It's a pretty good week for doing that, actually. And not for leaving here, that's for sure. Anyway, that's all good. And it's, as I say, it's pretty snotty here. We've recuperated a little bit from our cricket day yesterday. So let's go through a bit of news. Alan on Quintessa, I need a chat with you at the end of the program. A little bit of things to cover there. And if there's anybody else now, please call. Otherwise, I'll pick you up before David takes over. So I'll call now for anyone with anything a bit more urgent. Nothing heard there. I might need some relays this morning. It's a bit noisy on the old radio, probably with this weather. It was an interesting story about a manta ray in Australia. Coral Bay, I'm not sure where that is. One of you Aussies would be able to say. But it's a well-known manta ray. It's called Freckles because it's got sort of spots on its tummy. But it's stopped near divers over the weekend and rolled over in front of them to show them that it had fish hooks near the eyes. It must have been grovelling around the bottom. It's in a major fishing area and got 2 or 3 fish hooks around its eye. And it just hovered there while the divers kept diving to remove the fish hooks from it. And then when they'd finished, it just stayed there to show them and then went off. So Freckles is about 30 years old, evidently, and quite a well-known and popular manta ray, used to people, obviously, but very interesting that it knew what to do and how to get over this problem, isn't it? A lot more to learn about these sorts of sea creatures.
Amazing. That's an amazing story.
A very interesting article about Galileo. That's not the man. The Galileo sat-nav system in Europe has had a severe outage since Friday. It's described as a technical incident related to its ground infrastructure. Actually, it's the It's the precise timing facility in Italy has gone on the blink. All the 24 satellites are okay, but it means that all receivers, such as all the latest smartphones and everything that needs usable timing, they can't pick up the timing anymore. So there's no positional information. They haven't really rolled this out properly yet, Galileo. So in the meantime, they are relying on the American GPS system.
Naturally.
Well, yes.
Naturally.
Good, reliable GPS system. Hopefully it stays that way. It shows you Though, what can happen if something goes on the blink? And it doesn't need to be anything to do with the satellites. It's, in this particular case, it's the timing facility in Italy. Okay, China. It's interesting. I've got a couple of items on China today. It's quite different from what it would have been on this news roundup a couple of years ago. But the Chinese economy is really going quite slow at the moment. It's its slowest pace since the 1990s. This is the effect of the trade war, of course, and it's having a flow-on effect throughout the world, even in our own stock market here, the effect of the Chinese slowdown and prices are not so good. It has affected our own economy here, and certainly it's affecting the more major economies of the world. Well, floods have killed dozens in Nepal and India and Bangladesh, the usual thing that happens when the monsoon comes, and it has come. It was only about 4 days ago they were complaining that all the lakes were absolutely down to nothing, and it was very serious that people were dying from drought, and now they're dying from rain. Okay, India.
This is the normal monsoon.
This is the monsoon season. India was about to launch a mission to the moon, the southern part of the moon. How you say the southern or the northern when it's sort of in space, but anyway, it was described as the southern part of the moon that they were going to land a craft on, but they have delayed that because of a technical problem.
They talk too fast. The man on the moon's not going to understand them.
Bad news from Sweden. A skydiving plane took off and crashed soon after takeoff, killed 9 people, everybody on board actually. A couple of them tried to get out but didn't. The plane crashed on an island in the Ume, I presume that's how you pronounce it, near Umeå, for those of you from Sweden. Oh dear, I haven't had anything from Mr. Trump for a while. I thought you would be getting a little bit tired of all that news, but he's at it again. There are 4 Democratic congresswomen, should I say, who were told on Sunday to, quote, go back and help fix the totally broken and crime-infested places from which you came, end of quote. Now, one comes from Detroit, born to Palestinian parents. One was from New York to Puerto Rican parents. One was actually from out of the country, from Somalia. But anyway, the rest of them, they're all obviously Americans now, and they're not very happy about being picked out and told to go back to where they came from to fix the problems.
Well, if the truth hurts.
Well, yes, they might do something about it. Okay, talking about Mr. Trump, the immigration raids started yesterday, targeting about 2,000 undocumented immigrant families. So far, there hasn't been anything come out of that. The churches around states like Florida and Texas and Chicago, in fact, have started. I don't know whether it's they're able to do it by law, but they can give refuge to people, and so they are making sure that the immigrants know what their rights are.
I remember that.
Yeah, I don't know that either. I'll have to read the article a bit more carefully. Talking about how you live, there is an article about clean living and good genes will reduce your chances of getting dementia. Now, it's all very waffly. Good diet, well, that's very relative, isn't it? Adequate exercise, and I can assure you that that's very relative, because my definition of adequate and David's definition of adequate is definitely very different. Limiting alcohol and not smoking. So if you can cover all of those bases there, and you've got good genes, there's not much you can do about that, is it? Then you will reduce your possibility of getting dementia. So what else is there? Oh, well, there's Hong Kong, and I haven't mentioned that, but they are certainly, the protests there are growing in both scope and scale. They now want, this is the protesters, complete withdrawal of the extradition to China bill that started this whole business, as well as wanting the right to vote for their own leaders. So these demands are all very squarely challenging Beijing. So I don't imagine that there's going to be too much response from Beijing in a positive way. They will definitely just dig their toes in. But anyway, I think we're going to be seeing a lot more problems from Hong Kong.
Good.
That will take the attention of China away from the South China Seas. Maybe they'll work on things closer to home.
Yeah.
An interesting thing from the World Cup in Australia, the leading bookie, which is called Sportsbet, has actually paid back to those people that bet on the Black Caps. $426,223 has been returned because they reckon the Black Caps did not technically lose. This is amazing that Australia is actually supported.
Must be a Kiwi that runs
It
it.
might be a Kiwi that runs it, yeah. But evidently it's been very well written up, the whole game. It was still an amazing game, and everybody, actually, I don't think New Zealanders are all that upset because they certainly have pride in the way everything worked through, and there's going to be a great welcome back to the Black Caps when they come back.
Yeah, but to win on a technicality.
David thinks that you can't win on a technicality like that, but actually, there are many sports that actually do that. In our shooting, if there is, and there often is, if people that have the same score, what they do is they go back through the match and look how many X's, that's, the centre of the target, the very centre, how many X's, and they count that up, and the person with the most X's wins. So, there is precedent, and otherwise the game, which had already lasted about 8.5, 9 hours, would have gone on forever, possibly. Okay, let's have a quick look at the streaming news. Manta Ray Bay, 23 degrees, 1010.5, and about 3 knots from the east. Gosh, it sounds really lovely up there, John. 15% cloud, and that's about it. We talked about Diego has said, this is about Galileo, we never have been very good in timing in Italy. It would have been worse if they'd put it in South America, wouldn't it? Manana. All right, is there anybody with anything? And make sure, Alan, that if you're on frequency, we need to talk to you about something from Denise. Is there anybody with anything else? And by the way, I do know that XL is going from Samoa to Wallace and Fortuna. Sorry about that. I got corrected by Felicity. So David will cover Samoa to Wallace and Fortuna.
Well, I'm going to cover Wallace and Fortuna.
He'll cover Wallace and Fortuna. He forgot about the Samoa to it, but it's not very far away. Okay, is there anybody else? Well, I can't work that one out. So, Koala, go ahead. Okay, so you're looking to get up to Tanner. Did the check-in process all go smoothly over?
Yeah, we were pretty lucky that the good led the good just needs to be full. So we got that. We kept in, that was all good. We could do that.
Okay, so I think David will definitely be covering getting from Anisham to Tanner. Generally. Okay, and if he doesn't, we'll cover that at the end in more specific terms. All right, I shall pass the microphone now. Here's David.
Yeah, well, good morning. New Zealand is still in the middle. We're in the middle of this sandwich, I call it, between two very, very strong highs. Out east, as you know, we've been talking about this very, very slow-moving big fat high. It's 1039 millibar, 1039. It's a monster. Over in Australia, southeastern Australia, that's the other high, and it's at 1033 at the moment. Now, both of them are ridging toward Fiji. One's ridging to the east, obviously. One's ridging to the west. Now, at 500 millibar, and again, that's about 18,000, 19,000 feet, we've got a very sharp shortwave trough, and it's lying nearly over New Zealand. Now the axis is just west of the country. So therefore, New Zealand is, New Zealand being just to the east of that axis, is under the maximum upflow. And of course, that is exactly where the complex low system has developed. So as a reminder, you look at your upper level trough, you develop the axis by eyeballing it, and to the east of that axis, that's the area of general upflow. Now, anyhow, we counted 12 troughs and fronts in this area, but Patricia looked at it this morning
Last night.
early, and what did you get?
23.
She got
If you
23.
include the lot.
23 troughs and fronts in this system. It's absolutely amazing. Now, for New Zealand itself, there are gale warnings up for Kaipara, Brett, and Colville, so virtually both sides of the North Island are gales today. In our area here at Gulf Harbor, we've got 35 knots, gusting 45 knots. This morning when I was doing the weather quite early, it was thundering and lightning quite a bit. In addition, these fronts and troughs do extend north. They extend north of New Zealand, so gales are basically making themselves known all the way up to about 28, 29, 30 south. Northerly winds, 40 knots. That's what we've got up there, 40 knots. Now, we've got a few yachts ready to head north here in New Zealand, and I'm hoping this forecast will keep them in port. Now, the other reason that I'm giving you this kind of analysis, those of you up in the tropics probably wondering who cares about New Zealand, but you should listen to it in the sense that you will be heading back to New Zealand, and if you keep your fingers in the weather pie, as I call it, I think it'll help you. It'll help your future planning when you hear about what the upper levels are doing and what the surface conditions are doing as a result of that. So it just pays to keep all this in mind, because sooner or later you're going to be dealing with it. And speaking of New Zealand, the next major front is going to arrive Thursday of this week. And winds essentially from 170 east of the date line are all going to be northerly quadrant. And then after that, very strong southwesterlies are going to slam that entire area. So yachts that are trying to get north, you could just forget about this week, unless you are a total masochist and you have very, very good insurance. Now, cloud from these systems reach New Caledonia and Vanuatu. And up in the tropics proper, further north basically, we've got a sneaky little trough that's found in the Coral Sea. And then our usual Solomon's trough, that's still there, extends down to a tropical disturbance. We've been talking about these disturbances for the last week or so. This one's near 10 and 175 east, 10 south and 175 east. So just a little bit, it's near Rotuma basically. And it goes on, the trough goes on from it right to Tuvalu, near Tuvalu. And jumping to Wallis, as how we've got people going there, people that are there, I thought we'd include that in this. The winds today for Wallis, we're looking at about 7, 13 knots, right in that category. East-southeast. Fatun a little bit different, northeast 3. And tomorrow, east to east-southeast in the 10 knot range, picking up on Thursday to 15 to 20 out of the southeast. So you could expect some scattered showers today, nothing major. But Friday through Monday, we're going to brew up some rather vigorous activity for Wallis and Futuna. So Friday through Monday, you could expect a little bit of action up there. Over to Tonga now, where that weak trough still lies over the group. Expect the usual cloud and scattered showers, typical of a light trough conditions. There's still a strong wind warning and small craft advisory. This is from Tonga Met. So the advisory is for, the whole group, Palau, high is Tongatapu. And I hope you don't mind me saying Vavau. I just get tongue-tied if I go Vavau. So Vavau. Hope you don't mind. Anyway, east to southeast, 15 to 20, rising up to 25 at times. Seas about 2.5 meters. Now, Vavau and the Hapais, they could expect the same easterly swell rolling in at about 2.5 meters. But down in Tongatapu, the swell is going to be a southwesterly, about 2 meters. Now, we should see a wind shift on Wednesday, west to southwest, 10 to 15, and the sea and the swell should be easing a tad bit. So your actuals this morning, Vavau reported east 10, scattered barometer 10-13. The Hapais east-southeast 13, scattered to broken, towering cumulus there, and barometer 1011. And Tongatapu east at 6, scattered to broken, barometer 1013. So the weather looks to take a turn for the worse this weekend. So while you do have strong wind warnings and so forth, and that light trough, there's going to be more activity, I believe, come the weekend. So just be aware of that. Over to Fiji now, where imagery shows a scattered cloud. No troughs to contend with, except for Rotuma. Rotuma is definitely under a trough, and we've got what I call a mesoscale convective system, or it has turned into a tropical disturbance that is nearby. Most of the key areas, though, in the main group should be fine today, but you could expect scattered showers tomorrow. Now, Met Service, Fiji Met, today expects southeast winds 15 to 20, and tomorrow east to southeast 15 to 20. Those are trade wind conditions, obviously, if they're correct. Light troughing may return Thursday and Friday. This is not them speaking, that's me now. And it's going to be worse for you on Saturday and Sunday. Radar returns, quite minimal this morning. Showers up near Limbasa, also southwest of Viti Levu. And that's about it in terms of showers. Not many observations again today. Nandi east 6, scattered, barometer 1011. Nassori northwest 4, scattered, cumulus, barometer 1011 as well. Now these METARs are 12 hours old, the ones that I'm looking at. This is really pathetic coming out of Fiji. Can't say that they changed their directors of the Met Service like you change your socks, but they do have seemingly different people running the show fairly frequently. But I don't know, this is not acceptable to me to have a METAR 12 hours old. It is totally pathetic. Now, those of you that want to go south within the group, today is the day. Now, this is me now talking, not Fiji Met. Those wanting to go north, really tomorrow is the day to go. My forecast is obviously different from Fiji Met's. Basically, what I'm talking about are northerly quadrant winds today and southerly quadrant winds tomorrow. Now, I'm obligated to give you the Met Service forecast because that is the official forecast, but I will give you my version as well from time to time, particularly if it differs. So you can take it from there. Over to Vanuatu, imagery does show scattered to just a few clouds, but outflow cloud from the tropical disturbance is knocking on the door of the entire group. If you were to pull down the satellite imagery, you would see it. Not over the group yet, but boy, it's right there, maybe about a degree to the east, 60 miles, and those clouds are there, and they look a bit wet. Anyhow, the winds by lunch today, mostly late southerlies, 10 to 15. A bit of a shift tomorrow, southeast 10 to 15. Some areas might be around 20 knots, especially toward dinner time. Now, some actuals for you. Sola calm, broken at 2,900 feet, barometer 1010, Santo southwest 2, scattered barometer 1011, and Afate northeast 2, broken barometer 1011. Tana was variable 3 knots, scattered barometer 1010, and down there in Anisham at the airport it was west at 5, scattered to broken variable 1011. Now I know the folks anchored down there in Anisham are getting something different in the anchorage. You have to appreciate that what I gave you is the airport, so we're getting a bit of orographic change. But those winds will tend southerly, as I said earlier, and they'll be about 10 to 15, and that'll be around lunchtime. That'll happen. So hopefully the crummy weather coming in from the southwest will go away and give you a bit of a break in that anchorage. Southwest is not very good. By the way, if you do want to spend some time, and you do have extended southwest winds, just go to the top of the Anisham. We've done this a couple of times. Just fire up the motor or whatever, go to the north, and you'll see some bays, deep bays, and you'll be able to go in there and anchor, and the reefs will give you plenty of protection from the southwest or the south or the southeast. Okay, over to Newcastle. There's a fair amount of cloud on imagery, as mentioned, all from these extended troughs from New Zealand. By lunch on the southern lagoon, you could expect south-southwest 15 to 20. They'll be turning southerly by dinner time, easing a bit, maybe about 15. Tomorrow, mostly southerlies around 10, shifting southeast in the afternoon. Now, at the moment, these are actuals. It's blowing on the outer reef. We're looking at southwest up to 28 knots. No place to be. You do not want to be out in the deep southern lagoon today. Isle de Pan was southwest 18. Noumea west-southwest was 23, according to the report there. So, well, if you're close to Noumea, check out the brilliant food. Forget the southern lagoon.
Southern Cross are in the southern lagoon.
They're in the southern lagoon.
Yes, and they want to know what it's going to be like for the next few days.
Oh, well, I think I gave that. So, anyway, that's your story there. So, if you have anything specific, come now, and here's the chief.
Well, there are a few things specific. Interestingly, the Southern Cross email came in as you talked. They are in Kuto with 10 knots of southwest wind, 30% cloud cover, and they would like the wind and swell for the next few days. It sounds you only gave what today. Are you going to have a look out there? Should they stay there or not? Have a look at that one. Valak are interested to go to Vanua Balabu. You probably covered that, and I think we had Kahula going to Tana. So I'll just pass back the microphone and he can complete his jobs.
Oh, wait a minute. I did. I'm talking. This is up in Anisham. Is that?
No, there's three. There's start with Southern Cross and New Caledonia.
Well, New Caledonia. What I said was by lunchtime the wind south-southwest 15-20, but by dinner turning southerly in the 15 knot range. Then I said tomorrow mostly southerlies around 10, shifting southeast in the afternoon. So if you are already in the southern lagoon, and there's a couple of places to get shelter, and I'm sure that's where they are, but it's not comfortable, but you are protected. So that's the story for Newcastle. Now I forgot what else.
Well, let's go to, I'll give you an easy one first. They want to go Anatom or Nisham to Tana. And then there was a report from Valak. And by the way, I've got the latest METARs now on my Flight Radar 24 for Nandi and Suva.
I gave it.
But the other ones, as David said, were all left over from yesterday. Valak have got south, and this is in Tabiuni, south 4 to 6 at the moment, 1012.5 and 20%, and they are wanting to go to Vanua Balabu. And I think David's handling now the Kuhela one going to Tana. And good morning to Eagle's Wings. I presume are still in Aneesham as well. Okay, I'll pass the microphone. We'll cover that first.
All right, from Aneesham to Tanna, looking at tomorrow, early morning, raise the anchor, and we're looking at, looks like south-southeast, about 15 knots, 15 knots, perfect direction for getting to Tanna. Looking at lunch time, probably tends, well, between south and south-southeast, same, 10 to 15 knots, probably favoring 15. Looking around dinner time, I would say south, south-southeast, no change. Winds 10 to 15, favoring 15. And we'll look at tomorrow, since we'll be probably in Tanna, looking at the early morning hours. And I would say you'd be looking at southeast, east-southeast to southeast, about 10 knots, 12 knots, right in there. And then by about lunchtime, they're going to go easterly, about 10 knots. Now, this is my forecasting. So I hope I'm right. You can tell me if I'm wrong. It helps to know. So the wind would be coming directly into that anchorage there in Tanna, but light air. So there's that.
And what about Balloch, going from Taveuni to Bay of Islands? Okay, now you can have a look at the trip to the Bay of Islands. This is for Balloch. And by the way, just while David's looking at that, Lady Nada are at Whaua. I haven't realised that there's too many people in the Hapais at the moment. Good morning to you. They've got 15 to 20 northeast at Whaua at the moment. 15 to 20. Cloud cover is 85% and the bar 1011. So, Tonga hasn't actually had a very good season so far. Here's David, back to Fiji.
No, we've had a tremendous number of troughing bits of activity for sure this year. Anyway, looking at tomorrow then, going to Bay of Islands from Taveuni. Not so great. As I said, southerly quadrant, I mentioned that earlier, and that holds still, hasn't changed between
How about looking out?
A few minutes ago and now. So it's looking specifically on that trip, south-southeast, I'd say 10 to 15. That's the early morning hours. By lunch, about the same, and by dinner, it picks up a little, maybe 15 knots, but still south-southeast. And looking at tomorrow, or rather Thursday, very early in the morning, the same, southeast winds, a good solid 15, I would say. And then 15 to 20, maybe by lunch. And the wind slowly backs. It starts to go to east-southeast by around dinner time on Thursday. So you're right into it, trying to get to the Bay of Islands for tomorrow and Thursday.
Well, you'll just have to, they've stocked up, so it might have to wait a couple of days on that one. Remind us again, maybe Thursday, Friday-ish to have a look up. Oh, he's wants the microphone back. Maybe he has seen something.
Well, what I have seen is a trough coming, and that's no fun either. So you may want to deal with the adverse winds being as light as they are. You may want to do it before the trough gets there this weekend. The winds are going to go northeast, depending upon where the axis of this trough is going to be. That's on Saturday. And on Sunday, the winds completely flip around. You're going to be looking on Sunday morning, north to northwest. And that'll be all the way from Taveuni to the Bay of Islands. So that is your Sunday morning. Maybe you would go to church.
All right, just going up to Wallace, where Whistler are, reports just come in. 14 knots east to east-southeast with a half a metre swell and 20% cloud cover. Well, it's actually quite decent up there. They're anchored off Mata Utu in Wallace, and it sounds like it was all fairly straightforward. Imagine is there as well. The only other yacht that's there. All right. What else have I got? You want the microphone back again?
Well, not really, but when I do give you my forecast, folks, and I'm wrong, tell me. I really do want to know. It would be helpful if you told me what I said, and then tell me what you got. That would be nice. Thanks.
Good morning. I'm going to have to check your lifestyle about this dementia business. Yeah, I thought you wrote things down. All right.
Not all things.
No, not all things. The questions that come in at the end get answered sort of off the cuff, as it were. Okay. Now, is there anybody else with anything before I go to Quintessa? No, it sounds like everybody has got what they need there. Thank you for the reports, folks. It's useful to what we do now is sit there and have a look at what's come in and how it agrees and so on and so forth. One other thing. Good Lord, I'll never get to Quintessa.
Well, no, since we're on forecasting, and when I mentioned the Fiji forecast and how mine was vastly different, really. When I'm sitting, and you folks have been great on reporting the GFS versus ECNWF, looking at your conditions and who says what, doing the comparison. I've noticed the last day or so, they have been way out, both of them, actually, from the real conditions. So I'm not sure what the reason for that is. But in any case, I was quite surprised to see that that amount. The biggest, well, not so much the wind speed, although that was a bit of a factor, but the direction of the winds were quite off. And this is not orographic. This is open water stuff. So anyway, I thought I would mention that. But keep it coming. Keep that stuff coming.
Okay, let's go to Quintessa. Quintessa, because you'll be in a new spot now. Goldfather Radio. Well, I'm not getting you very well from that spot this morning, Alan. So can you copy me? Over. Oh, that came up okay. Well, let's do this first because it's sort of a good news, bad news from Denise. The good news is that your house is fine with the recent bad weather. However, the pool inspector came around and he has found a couple of issues. Well, I just assumed it was a he. Who knows? He or she has found a couple of issues. The gate on the outside fence doesn't swing shut and needs either new springs to pull the gate shut or be bolted locked permanent. So you've got a month to have a think about it and sort it out. Denise says if she hears from you over the next couple of weeks, that would be good. Otherwise, she will action as per option 1, which is to get someone to put new springs to pull the gate shut. So there you have it. The joys of a swimming pool. Actually, that's what made David sell his house when we left America. Couldn't bear the thought of somebody getting in and drowning themselves and getting sued and all the rest of it. Not that that would happen here, the suing business. But anyway, that's about it. And the news from the Trumans is that they're all good and the family is having fun and playing loads, whatever that means. So back to you, Alan. Over. Okay, I didn't get much of that, so I'm not sure whether you want the springs to be fixed or the bolted, locked permanent. Did anybody copy Alan? Please call. I think Ron's there, but boy, it's a really difficult day today. I tell you what, Alan, there's no great urgency. We'll try again tomorrow. Over.
Thanks.
Okay, you can cogitate for a day, and hopefully conditions will be better tomorrow. It's funny because this is the first day we haven't heard you clear as a bell. So, yep, have a think about it. I'm sure that the gate could be just permanently shut off somehow or another, and you can fix it when you get home. But anyway, have a think about it. You've got a month actually, but of course we won't be here in August, and you might want to think about how communications could work. You might want to, I don't know whether you're on SOPAC net, but you might want to think of just having an emergency contact on the SOPAC net, and I could send them a copy of Denise's email address. But anyway, have a think about that. Got a couple of weeks to sort that out, and we will try again tomorrow morning. Otherwise, could you give me a roger that you are in your new position and all is well? Over. I've got the most of it except the degrees of latitude. Degrees of latitude. 2050 south. Okay, you're coming up rather well now. So I've got you at 2050 south and 16202 east, and that was pretty clear. So I presume you got all of the pool gate issues from me, okay, Alan, over?
Yeah, roger. All of the gates around the door, including the outside one, are all currently locked, over.
Oh, okay. So I don't know what he means by bolted, locked, permanent, but anyway, I will pass that on, because if they're all locked, I don't really see what the issue is. If they're all locked, how did he manage to decide that the springs weren't working? Over.
They bring their own key. All of those old locks have identical keys.
Oh, I didn't know that. We're on a property with no grass and no pool, so I've lived and learned today, so they all have the same key. God, if I was a kid, I would just get a copy of that key. All right, I will pass that on and just make sure that they are still permanently locked, and she can sort that one out with the pool inspector, and we'll go for the bolted, locked, permanent. Well, permanent until you get home. Anyway, okay, so you're in your new spot, and what's your weather like, over?
I'm currently midway to Victoria. Being New Caledonia is a northern part. But here I have cloud 60% with 15 to 20 south-southeast, deep flight, 12 1 meters southeast, 1017, heating 65 euros.
Okay, got all that. Thank you. You're midway to the top of New Cal there. 60% cloud cover. The wind is 15 to 20 south-southeast. Seas are slight, about a 1 meter southeast swell. 1017, and you're doing 7 knots on a heading of 065. True. Okay, actually a very good copy now, Alan, so no problem there, and we'll get back to Denise. All right, anything else, over?
That's all for now. Thank you.
All right, I don't think David's got anything more to add. He's just looking at your conditions. It looks like it's going to be pretty much the same.
The winds are pretty good.
Yeah, the winds are pretty good. So, all right, we'll clear with you, and I'll just go back, seeing as conditions have changed a bit. Is there anybody else with anything? Turning off streaming.